Hey everyone, it's William with Scamming Scammers Action. We're here for our May live Q&A. It's been a quick month. It's gone by really fast, and I didn't realize that May is almost over and we hadn't done a Facebook Q&A. So I decided to go ahead and do one tonight. I hope all of you that have written in your questions, I'm going to try to answer as many as possible. And then later on this evening, probably in 2 or 3 hours, I'm going to look to go on YouTube and do some live YouTube calling scammers. So if you want to join us on our YouTube channel later on this evening, it's youtube.com/scamming-scammers, and we'll go ahead and do some calling of scammers and things like that in a little bit. So I want to say hi to everybody, let you guys join in the chat. I do apologize. We're having severe thunderstorms here, so if I disappear, you know why. It's because of a thunderstorm. But hopefully I won't disappear. And trying a new camera tonight with new audio, so hopefully you guys can hear me and it's a little bit clearer than it's been. So we'll see how that works. Thanks for everyone for coming. A lot of you guys have written in some awesome questions, and we're going to get to them. There's actually quite a few, so I'm going to try to start right away. But hi to everybody who's come in the chat, and thanks for joining. Really appreciate you guys and all that you do and for being part of the page. So I want to open with something really quick. We've had a lot of people come and they ask about videos. They said, well, you know, I'm talking to somebody online and they went ahead and played a video for me of themselves. They were sitting at their desk, or they were, you know, deployed soldier, and they had a video of themselves in training, so I know they're real. It's not always necessarily the case, and we've talked about this quite a few times before. Scammers will actually steal video from somebody just as well as they steal photos. So let's say you have a Facebook page and you have a profile, it's your profile, and you have 100 photos of yourself, and then you've also got 5 or 6 videos of yourself goofing around, or you're at the airport or whatever. If those are left in the open, scammers can steal those, and they'll go ahead and steal them, and they'll download them to their computer, or download them to their phone, and then they'll upload them while they're playing them to a victim. So they'll create a fake profile with your photos, steal your videos, and then go ahead and play them for a victim and say, oh, here I am, dear, I'm at the airport. And what it actually is it's some poor person's, you know, vacation videos, and a scammer has stolen them, and they're using them to try and convince you that they're legit. So we've had a lot of victims come to us and say, no, he's real because I video chatted with him. Well, that doesn't mean he's real. When you were on video chat with this person, did you ask them to, you know, write their name on paper and then hold up the piece of paper next to their face while you video chatted? Or, you know, did you ask them to stand up and wave their right hand, or touch their hair, or, you know, pat themselves on the shoulder? If you didn't ask any of that while you're on video chat with somebody, you could be just talking to someone who's playing a recording. So we encourage people, if you're going to video chat with someone, ask them to do something stupid. And a real person, if they really want to get to know you and they want to be your friend and they want to even have a romantic relationship with you online, they're going to do the things you ask them to do. Like, you know, they're going to wave their right hand, or they're going to, you know, touch their nose, or write your name with a heart on a piece of paper and hold it up. They'll do that if they're legit. Now, a scammer who's playing a video recording, if you ask them to do that, they're just going to go ahead and say their camera broke, or they're not going to even do it at all. So just remember that. That's the best way to tell if a person is legit. Because another way too is if you're talking to somebody online and they refuse to video chat, they're a scammer. There are video recording devices. I'll tell you right now, I'm sitting at my desk. I have 3 devices here and have 3 cameras. So there is always a way to have a video camera. I've got one on my phone, I've got one on my tablet, I've got one on my laptop, I've got them on my computer. There's video cameras everywhere. And if you're chatting with someone and they tell you my camera's broken, I can't video chat, blah, 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 you're likely talking to a scammer. Because if a person really wants to get to know you and they want a relationship with you, they're going to video chat. And let's say, for the benefit of the doubt, their phone doesn't work. It's not a great phone, you know, their camera doesn't work. Well, then they should be able to grab a laptop, grab a tablet, grab their best friend's phone, grab their brother, their sister, their mother's phone, and say, hey, I need to use this to video chat with someone that I'm interested in. And they'll video chat. So, you know, the excuse of my camera doesn't work, it's a poor excuse, but it's a red flag. So if you're talking to someone and they tell you, hey, my camera doesn't work, it's a huge red flag. The same goes for You're talking to somebody on an oil rig. You're talking to someone deployed. You're talking to a businessman who runs $1 billion gold financing company, and he doesn't have a $5 or $10 video camera to cam chat with you. Something's very wrong. So always keep that in mind. That's a huge red flag. So thanks for everyone for coming in. There's quite a few in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and start. We've had a lot of questions this time. Usually we get about 5 or 10 questions, and we got over 15 questions from different people. One gentleman who's a regular to our page asked a few questions that are interesting, so we're going to try to get to all of them. The first question that was asked tonight was, what does it mean when I go click on a link of a fake profile and it says it's no longer available? So we have this a lot. We'll post fake profiles on our page. We will post the link, which all of you should know what a link is. If you don't, I'm going to be making a video about what a link is pretty soon. You click on the link, and the link takes you to a Facebook thing that says this page is no longer available, it's been removed, the link is broken. What that basically means is one of two things. It either means Facebook removed the profile, and it was likely a fake, or they're asking that person for their ID, and of course it's a fake profile, so the scammer can't upload an ID. Or the scammer has deactivated the profile because they're not online working. Either way, it means that the profile is no longer working, it's no longer able to be viewed. It may or may not come back. But if you're talking to somebody online and they're a new friend and all of a sudden their profile disappears, it's more than likely that Facebook asked them for their ID. Now, I've gotten asked for my ID on my real profile, and I've uploaded it, and it took about a day or two to get my profile back. But you will get it back if you're a legit person. So if you're talking to someone and they tell you, oh, my profile was hacked, so I had to make a new one, the truth is you're talking to someone who's a fake, who's a scammer, and their profile got shut down for being fake, and Facebook asked them for their ID, and they couldn't give an ID, and so it got shut down, so they made a new one. And that's basically what it means when you click on a link that says it's no longer valid. It means it's been removed. So I hope that answered your question, and a lot of people have asked that because we'll post profiles and they get taken down really quickly, and they'll say, well, the profile is not valid, and it's because it's been taken down. So thanks for everyone who's joined us in the chat. I will try to answer questions too in the chat in between everything, so if you do have a question, don't forget to ask it. I'll try to get to it. I want to let you know Anne's doing well. She's probably watching, but she is health-wise doing okay. She is on the page almost every day, so if you are in the inbox, you'll know you'll get her or I in the inbox. So just make sure you stay tuned, and one of us will talk to you. So next question we have is, do you feel scammers are moving away from Facebook and heading to Instagram or another platform? I think they are. I think Facebook is one of those pages where it's a hit or miss thing, where you can create a fake profile on Facebook and it could be taken down in a minute, or it could be taken down in 2 years. There's no hit or miss on profiles with Facebook. I think scammers are moving away from Facebook just due to the amount of profiles that are taken down. I think they're moving towards Instagram, which, as you know, is owned by Facebook. So it's the same entity, just a different different site. But I feel like they're hanging out on Instagram more now than they are on Facebook. Instagram, it seems to be harder to take down fake profiles. We've had a lot of you that do like to report profiles for being fake have told us that Instagram doesn't remove them. I think they are moving to other platforms. I think they're moving more towards Instagram. They're moving more towards using just WhatsApp, Viber, using Kik. Google Hangouts, as you know, is going away in September, so they've got to find another platform to kind of group all of their victims together on as well. But I think Instagram is definitely a growing page. If you guys have been around for a long time on the internet like myself, you know that we started with MySpace, we moved on to Facebook, and now I think a lot of people are moving towards Instagram, so it's natural for the scammers as well to move towards Instagram to find victims. So yes, they are evolving, they are moving more towards that site, but there's just as many on Facebook now as well. But personally, we've had more victims bring us Instagram profiles than Facebook. So and Lynn Flint, you're right. MeWe, we'll talk about MeWe real quickly. MeWe is a social networking site. It's kind of like a knockoff of Facebook. So if you think about the name brand being Facebook, MeWe is kind of a knockoff of it. Similar format, similar layout, full of scammers. I created a fake profile on MeWe just to bait scammers, and within 10 minutes I had over 60 scammers in my message bar. So that's another place that they're going towards. You know, there's a lot of new social networking sites. There's one called FooBar that's been around for a long, long time. I used to know the actual person that owned FooBar, and she said lots of scammers are going over there as well. So, I mean, they're all over, but I think they're evolving from Instagram. They definitely are. Charlotte had a question. Do scammers research cities? A long time ago, I had a guy start chatting with me on a dating site, Badoo. It's full of scammers. He said he lived in the home city of Tulsa, and he named several places. Yes, a good scammer, I'll say this, a good scammer will do his research. A good scammer will look at you and say, oh, there's Charlotte. I want to get to know her. Let me look at her profile. And they'll look at your profile and they'll say, oh, she's from Tulsa. They'll Google landmarks in Tulsa, schools in Tulsa, you know, weather, whatever it is. They'll actually also Google a home. And they'll get all this information and they'll say to you, oh dear, I live in Tulsa. I live on the west side. I live near, you know, the highway going towards Oklahoma City, or I live near Broken Arrow, or I live, you know, near Sapulpa. They'll name all these different little cities near Tulsa. And I've been to Oklahoma, so I know the area. And they'll say, oh, I'm from there. And they'll try to convince you that they're legit. A good scammer will do that. A good scammer will do his research. Now, a poor scammer, a stupid scammer, I like to call them, they won't. And they'll be in such a hurry to make a profile that they'll say they're from California City. We know California City very well. We know all the widows come from California City. And the reason why they pick that particular city, or they pick Ohio City or Arizona City, a lot of scammers from West Africa think that California City is the city for California. It's a huge, massive, 5 million people live in California City, so they pick that city thinking it's the capital of California, when in reality Sacramento is the capital, but they think it's a major city. The truth is California City is a little desert town. I've been through it a handful of times. There's nothing there. So it's kind of funny. But yes, scammers do they definitely do their research, and they will stalk a victim. They're like a hunter. They'll stalk their prey. They'll ask, you know, look and see where you're from, and then they'll do their homework. So those are the most dangerous kind, of the kind that actually do take the time to learn who you are and what you're doing. And yeah, Anne's in the chat if you want to say hi. I saw her, she logged in, so if you would like to say hi, we're gonna move on to our next question. This is a question from one of our page regulars. Are struggling single parents a target for scammers? Yes. The reason behind this, there's a couple reasons. I'm going to say that everybody is a target for a scammer, whether you're a rich, retired 70-year-old lady, whether you're a 19-year-old college student, whether you're a 35-year-old single mom, or whether you're a 40-year-old divorced lady who works at Walmart. We're all victims. We're all targets of scammers. Okay, we all can become victims. I think single mothers that are struggling definitely can become a target, and I'll tell you why. We often think that scammers are going after rich people. They're going after the 70-year-old woman who's retired and her husband was a banker and he died and she's got lots of money. It's not true. Scammers look for people like single mothers who are struggling. The reason why, they'll use you as a money mule. They will say to you, honey, I know you're struggling. You've got your son or daughter, you know, you're working for minimum wage. You're struggling to get through. Your kids' school supplies are expensive. I want to be the man in your life. Open a bank account for me, and I'll put some money in it for you. And so they'll use single mothers or single fathers as well as money mules. So they'll have them open a bank account, and they'll say, oh, let me help you. Let me give you some money. And they'll say, I'll send you $1,000 to your bank account. And then you can go ahead and keep 500 of it and buy little Timmy his school supplies. And then you need to send the other 500 on to my friend in Nigeria, or my sister in Florida. And the sister, of course, as you know, will be another victim. So yes, scammers do target single mothers. They target people that are poor and struggling. They target anybody. But like I've said before, scammers find a use for you, whether you're a wealthy retired person or you're a struggling single mother, father, whatever. They're going to find a use for you. They're either going to ask you for money, or they're either going to use you as a money mule to commit fraud. So yes, they will become a target as well. No one is immune to a scammer's um, crime, and to their you're a target. All of us are a target, even me. Next question we have. Can the anniversary of a tragic event cause a victim to relapse into another scammer or a scam? Yes. I mean, all of us are vulnerable. Let's say you were a scam victim 2 years ago, and it's 2 years later, you swore you'd never be scammed again, and it's the anniversary of your husband's death. You're feeling lonely, you're sad, you're vulnerable, you miss your husband, you're lonely, and here comes a scammer. Oh dear, I know what it's like to lose my spouse. I lost my wife to whatever, as we know, car crash, cancer, whatever. Let me be there for you. And so that's what scammers do. They definitely work on your emotions. And so if you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad week, if it's the week of, the anniversary of your husband dying and your dog dying and your car crashing, and it's the 5-year anniversary of your relative passing or something, yes, they'll find you in a vulnerable state. And as to a scammer, when you're vulnerable emotionally, when you're depressed, when you're unhappy, if you're sad, if something's going wrong, or they're going to hone in on that, and they're going to say, hey, I could be your new best friend. And so they do that. They do. You can become a victim if you're vulnerable, and you're dealing with some emotional turmoil. So yes, definitely. And I hope that that answers your question. Thanks everyone in this chat. I'm kind of reading the chat at the same time. If you have a question and I don't answer and I miss it, just pop it back up in the chat and I'll try to answer it, because I've got like 3 different screens going. So next question. I'm chatting with a man online who says he is on an oil rig but can't use the camera as it's forbidden. He's been on the oil rig at sea for a year. Is he true? Is he real? No, he's a fake. Okay, let's start with the basics. Scammers use oil rig as a profession. If you're talking to a man online and he says he's on an oil rig, that's a huge red flag. Secondly, I lived in Texas for a lot of years, and I actually had a housemate that he worked on an oil rig. He worked for Chevron. He went out in the Gulf of Mexico. He went on an oil rig. He worked out there. He worked for 14 days. At the maximum he worked out on a rig at sea was 30 days. And there's some kind of law where they can't work. You can't be out on an oil rig for a year. That's against laws, regulations, all sorts of stuff. So if you're talking to somebody online and they tell you, oh, honey, I've been in the ocean for a year, you're talking to a scammer. People don't stay on oil rigs for a year. 14 days, 30 days, max. They don't stay out for years. And that's the same with soldiers that are deployed. They don't stay deployed in Afghanistan for 10 years. It just doesn't work that way. As far as video chatting, I can tell you that my housemate, who had a girlfriend and a daughter, he video chatted with her. If you've never been on an oil rig, they're actually like little cities. They have internet. They have a computer room. They have tablets. They have a kitchen. They have food. They have everything you need. So if someone is telling you they've been on an oil rig for a whole year and they can't video chat because it's forbidden, you're talking to a scammer. Guys on oil rigs video chat with their families, and they come home. They don't go out for a year. It's just not the way it is. It's the same with a truck driver. A truck driver doesn't go on the road for a year straight. They come off the road. Same with oil rig workers. They come back. And I'll have to tell you that oil rig workers are flown back by the company, and it's paid for. You don't pay for your flight back to land. You don't pay a fee. You don't pay a deposit. The company pays for all that. And you got to remember, these oil companies are billion-dollar companies. They're insured. If a worker is hurt on an oil rig, the company takes care of them. They have medical staff on the rigs, and if they're badly injured, they life flight them out. So if anyone's telling you also, I'm on an oil rig and I cut my arm and I have to pay $20,000 to get home to a doctor, it's crap. You're talking to a scammer. Charlotte, if you were a mule, do you wind up in trouble for fraud? I'm just curious. It depends. Um, and Rebecca, I'll answer your question next. It depends. We've had people who have unknowingly opened bank accounts and been a money mule for scammers. We had one lady in particular, and I tell this story to everybody I know. She got 4 years in jail, 4 years in federal prison for being a money mule. She did it unknowingly. She thought she was talking to a soldier, and she money muled $15,000 to $20,000, and she got prison time. She lost her life, her grandkids. She lost everything for a scammer. It depends, though. Some people I've talked to have been money mules and opened bank accounts, and the bank slapped them on the hand, told them, "Don't you ever do that again. We'll close the account. You have to pay back this much money," or whatever it was. Or some banks just say, "Okay, we'll close the account. You can't have another account." So it varies. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. If you're moving 20, 30, $100,000 in your bank account for a scammer and you don't know it's a scam, you can go to jail. But sometimes if you're moving $1,000, you can get slapped with a fine. You can get slapped with jail. Depends on where you live. Depends on what your laws are in your state, your country. But yeah, money mules have gone to jail, and innocent people have gone to jail for scammers. I mean, they honestly did not know that they were involved in a scam, but they got slapped with jail. They got slapped with fines, and they've ruined their lives. So don't. This is a great rule. Don't open a bank account or a credit card for someone you've never met in person. It's a scam. Rebecca, what about the military guys asking for iTunes or Amazon cards or need money? All right. So, military men and women never, ever, ever, ever need iTunes cards. They don't need Amazon cards, and they don't need your money. Military personnel get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every month, whether they're deployed, whether they're in Afghanistan, or they're in Arkansas. They get paid. They don't have their bank accounts frozen until their mission is over. They don't need iTunes cards. They don't need Amazon cards. I will tell you that scammers, as you know, take the iTunes cards. They sell them. They're as good as cash to a scammer. They also use them to top up their phones. So they'll go on Google Play, or I'm sorry, Apple iStore with their iTunes cards, and they'll upload the iTunes amount. Then they'll use that money to download apps that are pay apps, pay dating sites, data, whatever. So if you're giving a person online who claims they're in the military an iTunes card, what you're doing is you're giving a little likely West African boy an iTunes card so he can get on WhatsApp, Viber, Kik, paid dating sites, whatever he needs for his phone. Also, the Amazon cards, I'll tell you what, there's a couple things they do with them. The first thing they do with them, they can sell them online. They're as good as cash. There's sites that'll actually just let you cash in gift cards, and they'll go ahead and trade them for cash. They get, like, if they have a $100 Amazon card, they can get $80 cash for it, and they get the cash through PayPal. They get it through Bitcoin sales. They get it from all kinds of ways. So if you're giving a scammer or someone, a military man, an iTunes card or an Amazon card, you're giving them cash. And real military men don't need those cards. Also, they take the Amazon cards. They do a couple things with them. Let's say the scammer's from Ghana. He goes on Amazon with an Amazon card that you've given him with $100 on it. He orders new pair of Nike shoes, has them sent to one of his victims that, say, is in Texas. That person in Texas receives the shoes, they repackage them up, and they ship them over to Ghana, and you've just given a scammer a brand new pair of shoes. They also take smaller gift cards, well, even $100 gift cards, and they'll get a gift card from a victim. It's $100. They'll go on Amazon and they'll be talking to another victim who may be wealthy, may have a lot of money to give, and say, "Oh, honey, I'm a businessman. I'm real. Here's a $100 pair of earrings. They're going to be sent to you from Amazon. It's my gift to you." That victim gets those earrings, falls in love with this person, this scammer, using a fake stolen photo, and the next thing you know, that scammer is asking that victim, "Honey, I sent you those $100 earrings. I need $5,000. I'm trapped in Malaysia. I need money." And that victim is likely to send money because they think, "Well, he's real. He sent me a beautiful pair of earrings. He gave me all these gifts and flowers and blah blah blah." And that's what they do. Scammers will use one victim who might not pay a lot of money, but will give them a $100 Amazon card, and they'll go ahead and use that on another victim who they know is going to pay money out if they get a little token of appreciation, like some earrings or something. So that's what they do with them. And they, like I said, they sell them. They sell them online. I mean, you can go onto any Facebook group run by scammers, and they're selling them left and right. Um, there's no way to stop scammers. I know it's annoying, but there's no way to stop them. I mean, people ask us, how do you stop them? You don't. What you do is you stop sending money. That's how you stop them. Stop sending money. Stop sending gift cards. Stop opening bank accounts. Stop giving people that you don't know in person your personal life and details. Don't let a person use you. And that's the way to stop scammers. If all of us stop sending things to people, that are scammers, then they have no resource to make money. But unfortunately, while people are getting educated, if 5 people today learn about scammers, 15 people sent money. So it's kind of it's a tug of war with it. Rebecca, what if they say they need to get their children money, but they can't send because they can't get a hold of their money and they've been deployed? Deployed military men and women always can get their money, whether they're in Afghanistan or Iraq or North Korea, doesn't matter. A deployed military person can access their money. A lot of military men and women use USAA or the Naval Credit Unions or the Army. There's tons of credit unions, USAA being the number one, that is geared towards military, and they always have access to their accounts no matter what. There's no reason why they wouldn't. So if you're talking to somebody and they say, oh, my boy Timmy in Florida needs $1,000 because his appendix exploded, but I'm in Afghanistan and I can't access my money, you're talking to a scammer. And also, keep in mind that military people, they have TRICARE, they have great medical coverage, and they have it for their children and their families. So if someone's telling you that, you're talking to a scammer. There's absolutely no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. So next question we have, it's a little bit of an interesting question. It's mental illness, does it play a role in scams? This comes back to as far as the victim, if the victim suffers from a mental illness, it can, because, if someone is really depressed or they're having, suicidal thoughts and they're unhappy with their life, and here comes this great man who's there to tell them that they're beautiful and they're all these wonderful things, then yes, it can. If scammers look for people sometimes that are struggling, and whether it be with, financial or emotional or mental, it can play a role in the person being scammed. So absolutely, and unfortunately, scammers know this, and what they'll do is if they find somebody who's mentally weak that maybe has a bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or something's, mentally they're struggling or they're suicidal, a scammer will hone in on that and they'll play that up. They'll play with them and say, oh, you need to send me money, and they'll emotionally, mentally manipulate them. So absolutely. But like I said, whether you're mentally unwell or you're mentally fit, financially well or financially unfit, you're going to be a target. So there's no really specific book that says, only these people get scammed, because everybody can get scammed. In our inbox, we've had very intelligent, college graduate, doctorate, PhD holding people who have gotten scammed. And then we've had, people just normal like myself, just a normal everyday person that, works a regular job, get scammed. So it happens. They look for anybody. But yes, absolutely. So next question we have, please explain to me why someone would give a gift card or money to someone they've never met. It seems absurd to me. Okay. Let's talk about it. So you're probably the type of person, and I'm not trying to be mean, but would say to me in the inbox, I'll never be scammed. These people are stupid. Well, I'll start by saying no victim's stupid. I've met people that have gotten scammed that are doctors, that are surgeons, that are attorneys, that are politicians, that are extremely educated, well-versed, mentally stable. They got all their stuff together, but they fell victim to a scam. The short answer to that is people get emotionally manipulated. And even though you might think that you're educated and streetwise and you'd never get scammed, there's something wrong with all of us. And I say this in a way not to be mean, but there's something wrong with each and every one of us, including myself. There's a little crack in all of us that scammers will look for. Whether you are, a 40-year-old lady who was abused by her husband and you're divorced and you're single and you've never had a man tell you how beautiful you are, and a scammer hones in on that and says, oh, honey, you're so beautiful. Or whether you're a 50-year-old man who, lost custody of their kids and they miss their kids and they wish they could, be with their children and they fell on hard times, and then you have a scammer come in with two beautiful children and says, would you be the father to my children? We all have issues. And so there's a fault in all of us that scammers look for. Whether you're lonely, whether you're depressed, whether you're, looking for love, whether you've been rejected all your life. I mean, there's something that scammers look for. And the sad part is people think scammers are stupid. A lot of them aren't. A lot of them, instead of spending their time doing good in the world, they look for things that are wrong with you, or that they may hone in on and say, oh, that's Sally over there. She hasn't been with a man in 15 years and her husband was an alcoholic. I'm going to be Mr. Righteous and I'm going to win her over. So people fall for the romance. They fall for the kind words. Scammers fill a void in your life. No matter what kind of void it is, they fill it. And so when someone fills a void in your life, you want to give them things. You want to show affection. And a lot of people say, well, this man is so kind to me. He has told me I'm beautiful every day. He sent me beautiful love songs. He's so kind to me. He only needs a $50 iTunes card. I'll do it for him. And that's why people do it. I've had so many people tell me I'll never be a victim, and then they come back and say, I fell for it. And I fell for it because he told me I was a nice lady or a handsome guy. So people fall for it because they get emotionally manipulated, and scammers look for that little piece of you that needs to be told what you need to be told. And they're really great mental manipulators. They are. They know how to do that. And Marianne, you're absolutely right. It's emotional abuse. It is full-on emotional abuse. They look for your weaknesses, and that's how they work their way in. So, and they do, Pam, they do prey on your vulnerability. They prey on your emotions, and they know they do. So I hope that answers your question. And to the person that wrote that in, never say never. Because I've had some real, and I hate to say the word, smart-ass people who've come to the inbox and told me, oh, I'll never be scammed. And then a year later, they come back and say, I'm sorry, I was scammed. So it does happen, and it can happen to anybody. It doesn't have to necessarily be a romance scam. It can be an investment scam. It can be a phone scam. It can be a vacation scam. It doesn't, we get this notion that it's always romance, and it's not. A lot of scammers scam people for investments or for other things. So just remember that. It doesn't mean, just because you're not looking for love online doesn't mean you couldn't be a victim of a scam. All right, so I hope that answers your question. We've got another one. I'm talking to a man online who says he is peacekeeping in Syria. He asked me to write to his commander to request a leave, and I must submit a leave remittance form. Is it real? Nope. Talking to a scammer. And I'll tell you why all these things are wrong. Military men who are deployed, whether they're in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, I don't care what country they're in, they're not going to be sitting online chatting to total strangers looking for romance while deployed. Military men don't do that. Secondly, the military, it works like this. A soldier is like property of the government. So a soldier's business is not going to be your business. You're never going to contact a soldier's commander, his captain, and his admiral, any of that. Military business is military business between the soldier and his chain of command. Even if you were married to this person, you still would not be involved in his leave. There's no such thing as a leave remittance form. They don't pay for leaves. You're talking to a scammer. It's just flat out how it is. Soldiers don't pay for leaves. They never have. They never will. They don't file remittance forms. They don't have you write to a commander, because in reality, the commander is going to be the scammer, pretending to be the soldier and the commander. So if you're talking to a soldier online and they're telling you, honey, you got to write to my commander and ask for a leave, you're talking to a scammer. Just block them. There's absolutely no doubt. So if you're still talking to him, block him. And I have a man that wants to give me his bank account information, and he wanted me to transfer money to my account from his account. Well, you're talking to a scammer, and he'll likely have you log into an account that is fake, and you'll log into the account, and there'll be this photo of the guy next to his bank account, and it'll say he's got $28 billion in his bank account, and he'll say, honey, I'm going to transfer. Don't do it. He wants your account information. That's all he wants. There is no money. It's going to be a scam. So if someone, and keep this in mind, okay, if you're online, treat it like you're in person. So let's say you just met a man at a nightclub, and you're dancing, and you meet this guy at the bar, and you start chatting, and he says, I want to give you money. Give me your bank account information. What would you do? You'd get up and leave. So treat online the same way. If you're talking to someone you just met and they say, oh, honey, I'm in love with you. I want your bank account. Get the hell away from them. Straight up, just leave, because they're a scammer. We're just wondering, Rhonda asked a question. I'm just trying to read it. I'm just wondering if any of your views ever have a pop-up on Messenger asking if they know the person and talks about scams. I have many that do that. All the fakes, but quite a bit. The last several people know. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Like, you mean like a messenger if someone pops up and says, have you heard about this scam, or have you been scammed? I mean, there are scammers that'll actually pretend to be victims, and they'll message you and say, hey, were you a victim of a scam? I was too. And then they'll try to convince you that they got their money back from some kind of agent or group or something. It's called a reload scam, and it's just a scammer trying to scam you as well. If that's what you meant, that's kind of what it is. I'm not sure. But if anyone comes to you and says, you know, hey, I was a victim of a scam and I got all my money back, you're talking to a scammer. Because, and I can't say this enough, and I hate to be this way, but once you send money, it's gone. If you Western Union somebody $1,000 to Nigeria, that money's gone. You can't get it back. There's no agency or special undercover agent or anyone that's going to get that money back from you. And if someone is telling you that they can, or if someone is coming to you and saying, hey, I was a victim of a scam and I went to Captain so-and-so on Facebook and he got my, or, you know, Mr. Jones Smith agent, special agent, he's a military agent that can get the money back, you're talking to a scammer. You know, it's very rare that money is returned. And we've had a lot of people come to us and say, oh, well, I got told to contact, you know, this commander or captain in the Army. Here's his profile, and it'll be, you know, Bob Smith. It's a scammer. It's just a scammer trying to do a reload scam. Once your money's sent, it's gone. It's gone forever. And Peggy, you're absolutely right. Kiss the money goodbye. That's why we tell people don't send money. Never send money, ever. So our next question is... It's an interesting question, and I don't know how to answer it. Will we start to see scammers using Iran as a new platform for scams? So there's some conflict going on in the world. Like, we have our president has some conflict with Iran. I don't know if you guys follow the news, but he put a lot of sanctions on Iran, and they're talking about possible war, which I don't think will ever happen. But yeah, scammers watch the news. So when we had some conflict with North Korea last year, a year before, suddenly we had an influx of military profiles saying they were peacekeeping in North Korea. So I wouldn't doubt it that scammers will start saying, "Oh, I'm deployed to Iran." It probably will happen. Anywhere there's conflict in the world, scammers follow it, and so that I wouldn't doubt it. I absolutely wouldn't doubt it. And then, you know, another thing too, we have to remember there's victims all over. We've had victims from Iran. We've had victims from Iraq. We've had victims in the Middle East too. So everyone can be a victim. And yeah, I do see with conflict in the world, and pay close attention to the news. If you see, you know, troops are being sent to, you know, Iran, then yeah, you're going to have scammers saying, oh, I'm deployed. So it will. Yeah, we probably will see an influx of that. Next question. Are there support groups for victims of scams? If so, where can I find them? There are support groups online. We used to run one, but it got to a point where it was too much for us between doing YouTube, doing the page, and running a support group. I personally know of a couple of support groups that are legit and run by legit people. If you would like a list of support groups that I feel are safe, you can inbox us and I'll give you the links. There's one lady in particular that just opened a secret support group that she was a victim, and she's definitely legit, the real deal, and she's more than happy to have you come to her support group. So if it's something you're interested in, if you want to know about a support group, inbox me. Do keep in mind there are a lot of support groups run by scammers. So do be careful and make sure that you're not dealing with someone who's pretending to be a support person and it's actually a scammer. But yeah, if you're interested, there are support groups, and I'll give you the links to them. I generally don't put them out in public because scammers do watch the page, and we don't want scammers getting into them. Next question we have, and if I miss any in the chat, I'll try to get to them as quickly as I can. There's a lot of different groups. I don't recommend certain ones because we've had conflict with other anti-scam pages. Do your due diligence and research them before you join. What are some behaviors or actions a person who is involved in a scam or with a scammer might exhibit? It depends. We've had family members of like their mothers getting scammed, and they've come to us and said, mom hasn't talked to us in 3 days, and she used to call us every morning. She's making extra trips to the store. She's hiding receipts in the house. She's hiding her phone. She's locking her phone where before she never locked it. She's canceling out on events and family get-togethers. There's a lot of different signs. It depends on the situation. It depends on the person. I mean, we've had people tell us that they were a victim of a scam, and they went ahead and quit going to the family picnics and the family barbecues. They quit taking their kids out to the park. They got so wrapped up in the scam and the romance of the scammer. That's some of the signs. They isolate themselves. They tend to cancel out on events that they used to go to all the time. Another thing they do, they hide things. Maybe they hide their finances. Maybe they're getting lots of packages in the mail that they never got. They're making extra trips to the bank. They're making extra trips to the grocery store to check out the Western Union. You may find a bunch of Western Union receipts or iTunes gift cards stuffed away somewhere. Those are some of the signs. They can get, they can get money, loans. They're asking you for loans. You notice they're selling stuff. They're selling their car. They're selling their collectibles and things that really matter to them. And that's some of the signs. I mean, that's just a few. Sometimes people can be really snappy with you. They get really cranky, and you wonder, hey, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you so mean? And it could be because they're under stress to get more money to the scammer. They could be under stress because they're financially, digging a hole. So it can be a lot of things. Those are just a few signs. It just depends. There's a couple questions in the chat. Should you converse with the scammer? People ask us all the time, should you talk to the scammer even though you know he's a scammer? I would tell you no, because you don't know what element the criminal is. You could be talking to a 16-year-old boy who's scamming because he wants a new pair of shoes. You could be talking with a 36-year-old scammer who's in a criminal gang, who is a hacker, who can wreak havoc on your life. I don't recommend playing with them. I don't recommend chatting with them. If you know they're fake, if you know you're dealing with a scammer, just block them. Anna and myself have been doing scam baiting for almost 5 years, and I can tell you, I know all the precautions to take. I have like this super cool computer with all this antivirus stuff and all these cool bells and whistles. And you know what? Scammers have still come after me and found my personal information. So I don't recommend you chat with a scammer. And also scammers, once they confess, they might try to convince you that they're really good people and they're sorry and they'll never do it again. And I want to be your friend. I'm in love with you and blah, blah, blah. So no. And Rose's question, are there legit scammers? Legit meaning, are they good scammers? Are they, they're criminals. I mean, they're scammers that confess and they come forward and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again." You know, it just depends. I mean, there's all different kinds of scammers, but no scammer is a good one. I mean, even if they confess and say, "I'm sorry, I'll never do it again," the truth is they're still doing it. They're just hiding it from you. There's scammers that come forward and say, "Hey, you know, I did this, and I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, but I'm really in love with you." And the truth is they're not. They're still scamming. So, you know, my view on it is, once a scammer, always a scammer. You know, even if they're so kind to you after they confess, they're still scammers. So just you need to remember that they're scammers, and that's just how they are. They're scammers. That's it. So next question we have is another one. So why would a scammer using a fake profile say he's working in Turkey but want money sent to a Nigerian name? It's confusing me. Please shed some light on this. Well, the truth is you have scammers in Turkey. You have Turkish scammers. You know, scammers come from all over. But you also have scammers that a lot of Nigerians and West Africans, they work in Turkey. They get work visas and they go ahead and work in Turkey. And so while they're working in Turkey, working at a restaurant, washing dishes, they're scamming. And they're scamming online. So if you're talking to somebody online and his name is Bob Smith and he says he needs $1,000, but you need to send it to a Nigerian man in Istanbul, Turkey, that means you're dealing with a scammer who is in Nigeria, or who is Nigerian, who is living and scamming in Turkey. And we have scammers, you know, a lot of migrants from West Africa go to places like Italy, Spain, Germany, Austria, Bulgaria, wherever, through Europe and through places like the Middle East, like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and they scam from there. They just take what they know from home and they do it, you know, they scam from there. So, and I want to touch on something real quick because I've seen a couple of things in the chat, and I'm going to tell you this. All the anti-scam pages online, whether it's ours, whether it's, you know, one from the Netherlands, whether it's one from Florida, whether it's one from California, none of us, not a single one of us, are law enforcement. So I see a lot of comments of so-and-so is, they're real professionals, and you know, they're none of them, myself and blah 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 over at the scam page and Mr. Smith over at this scam page, none of them are law enforcement. None of them are accredited professionals as far as anti-scamming. There is no anti-scam diploma. So, you know, whether you're talking to someone who sits in an office or whether you're talking to someone who sits in their garage and runs an anti-scam page, none of them are law enforcement. So if you're talking to someone and they're telling you, "Oh, come to our anti-scam page because we're professionals. I have a doctorate in psychology, or I have a business license in administration," it doesn't mean jack shit. I'm sorry. All it means is they're running an anti-scam page. We're teaching you things that you can learn yourself. And other anti-scam pages are the same way. We're all pretty much the same. I mean, there are some where, you know, maybe they'll direct you to the FBI, or maybe they'll direct you to a different organization. And there's a lot of them that are good. I'm not saying, you know, there's a lot of great anti-scam pages, not just us. There's other great pages. But if you're talking to someone in an anti-scam page and they tell you they have connections to law enforcement and they can get your money back, or that they can arrest your scammer, or, you know, it'll cost you $50 to do it, it's a scam. And, you know, there's good pages and bad pages out there. You need to be careful with who you're dealing with. We don't toot our horn. We don't say, "Hey, we're the best anti-scam page in the world," because we're not. We're just doing this for free. We're just helping people. But the advice we give you is legit. The information we give you, the links to resources, everything that we give you is the real deal. We never ask you for money. We'll never ask you for money. All the information we give you is free. However, all the information we give you, you can find yourself. Any of you can start an anti-scam page. You don't have to be a special person to do it. You just have to learn, be smart about it, and learn what to do. So keep that in mind. I see so many people coming to us and saying, "Well, you know, so-and-so at this page told me I can get my money back if I join their organization." Well, it's bullshit. You can't get your money back. And if an anti-scam page is telling you that you can, and if you join their group, or if you put their little gold star up on your website or something, it's crap. they're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to educate. We're all trying to help each other. What's unfortunate is a lot of anti-scam pages don't get along with each other, and they criticize each other. And I'll never criticize an anti-scam page. I think if you're educating the public, that's great. I don't nitpick. I don't go to other pages and pick apart what they do. But the only time I have an issue with it is when they tell victims they'll get their money back, or that they'll have their scammer arrested, because it's just lies. So just keep that in mind. I mean, there's a lot of great pages, but don't fall into the trap of, oh, I'm going to get my money back if I join the ABCD scam group, because you won't. So just always remember that. So I have a couple more questions. Another one, this is interesting because this comes to our inbox quite a bit. I've blocked my scammer 3 times. And yet he continues to call me from different phone numbers. How is it possible for a scammer to have so many phone numbers? It's very easy. So you have a scammer online, and a scammer goes to textnow.com, goes to Google Voice and signs up for a free Gmail, goes to any free texting app, Call 8, Primo, and all they have to do is enter an email address and pick a state they want to be from, pick a city, boom, they got a phone number. So a good scammer will have 20 phone numbers. And so let's say you block him on one phone number, he's got 19 more he's going to call you from. And if those wear out, if he's a stalker type of scammer, he'll just sign up for another free voicemail. I can go online and, sign up and have 20 different phone numbers right now if I want it, in probably 3 or 4 different countries. So what you have to do is, you just keep blocking the scammer. If you keep blocking him, don't read his emails, don't open them, don't respond to text messages, just keep blocking. The scammer's going to move on. The scammer's going to move forward. They're going to go to another victim. So it's not uncommon for a scammer to have 10 different phone numbers. I've seen it. You've seen us do posts where there's, Bob Smith, he's fake. Here's all his phone numbers, and they're, 20 different voicemail numbers. So that's kind of how it works. Paul, the FTC can try and get your money back, but they're not successful at getting everyone's money back. And that's a popular misconception too, is we'll have victims say, I filed a report with the FTC, where's my money? You send $1,000 to Lagos, Nigeria, that scammer is going to pick that money up and he's going to be gone and spent that money before you can get your foot in the door. So just remember that. The FTC does a lot, though. They do help you file reports, same with IC3.gov. But just keep in mind, if you are a victim, and I can't say this enough, don't expect to get your money back. It's very rare. I mean, Ann and I have been doing this for 5 years, and we probably help 200 to 300 people in a given day or two. And I can tell you, in the 5 years that I've personally been doing this almost, I've only seen about 4 or 5 victims get their money back, and the only reason they got it back is because they canceled the Western Union transfer before the scammer went to pick it up. So it's unfortunate, but money is sent, it's sent. It's gone. It's pretty much gone. But it is always good to file a report with FTC or with IC3 or your law enforcement. You should always file a report. Deborah, how can you track down where your scammer actually is if you have email and phone numbers as well as bank transfer info? Why can't your bank find out exactly where they sent the money? Couple reasons. We've had scammers. We've had their home address, phone number. We've had their photos. We've had their social media pages. We've had their bank account information. And the FBI and the federal law enforcement, the Nigerian police say, nothing we can do. Basically, you have to keep in mind that the email addresses are always Gmail. They're always throwaway email addresses. The phone numbers most of the time are free voicemail numbers. They're not traceable for the most part. If they do have a Nigerian phone number, it's likely a cell phone. It's likely a mobile phone number that they can just toss away. It's hard to trace them. The bank transfer info, it depends on where the bank, where it went to. So let's say you live in Florida and you transferred money to North Carolina. Well, you should be able to catch the scammer. It's in North Carolina. No, it's somebody that's a victim that's muling money. Even if the money went all the way to Nigeria, a lot of times these scammers, a lot of corruption in places like Nigeria, they turn the other way. We've even caught Nigerian police officers scamming with their real bank details, turned it into the EFCC, and nothing ever happened. There's a lot of corruption in these countries, and if any of you have ever read up on like Ghana, one of the politicians, one of the leaders in Ghana said, well, at least our young men and women are making money scamming. We're not going to go after them because they're making money. And so it's unfortunate. There's a lot of corruption in the world. If it was easier to catch them, and there was like this international team that could come together and go after them, I think it would be great, but it's not going to happen. You have a lot of red tape. You have a lot of different countries involved. You might have somebody that transfers money to 5 different people in 5 different states before it reaches Nigeria. So that's kind of a lot of the issue is they use money mules, and they know that it's hard to trace where that money is going, where it came from, who did it go to, and that's unfortunate, but that's kind of how it works. Linda, mules they use in the States, law enforcement could question them, but the problem is you have a mule in Florida who accepted money from a victim in California, and you talk to that mule in Florida, and they'll say, "Well, I was accepting the money because my online romance guy named George said that he needed this money, and that you, Linda, say we're told that you're the sister," and so they unknowingly accepted this money, thinking that you were this person's sister, when in reality you were told that this person in Florida was an agent for the Army. So I mean, law enforcement can go after mules, but a lot of times they're very innocent in what they do. They don't know they're being scammed. They don't know that they're caught up in this intricate web of scams. And so the most that happens a lot of times is, let's say you transferred money from Western Union to somebody in the States. Western Union will ban them from receiving or sending money for 1 year. That's the most they can do. And unfortunately, unless it's a large amount of money done through bank transfers, there's not a lot that they'll do. And really, you don't want 75-year-old Betty Smith in Florida getting arrested and thrown in prison because she accepted money from somebody who she thought was a soldier, and you were sending money to her thinking she's an agent. So they kind of play against each other, and it's unfortunate. But like I said, 90% of the money mules in the States are victims. They don't know that they've been caught up in a scam. They think that they're helping somebody or they're in love with this person. Cheryl, my scammer sent me a message that he died in the middle of the night and I needed to get his fake kids. That's a good one. How can you send a message if you die? But hey, some scammers aren't very smart. We had one today that said he was a captain on a major oil rig, and it was like a fishing boat, like a little like Walmart boat. So scammers are stupid. Some of them are funny, and some of them are dangerous. So that's the misconception. A lot of people think scammers are they're funny. They're all stupid. They're not. There's a lot of dangerous ones out there as well. Next question. I'm talking to a man online who asked me if I can accept some packages through Amazon. When he gave me the tracking number, I actually logged on to Amazon to confirm these packages are legit. They told me that they were bought by Robert Martins, the same name of the man I'm talking to, and being shipped to my house. How is it possible, if he's fake, if he bought the items online and shipped them in his name to my home? Wouldn't he need a credit card to do that? And you can't get a credit card in a fake name. This comes back to Amazon gift cards. A scammer will log on to Amazon with a gift card that they've gotten from a victim. They'll set up an Amazon account. Bob Smith, give your address, use the gift card to purchase the item. It'll come in his name. You can pretty much ship an item in anybody's name if you use a gift card. You can have Bozo the Clown. They'll mail it. As long as it's a gift card, you've bought the item with a gift card, he'll have it shipped to your house. That's what they do. And that's what they always do. And you can get credit cards in fake names. A lot of scammers have groups and sites that use social security numbers. They actually, a lot of them now, and it's changing as far as the scam evolving, but a lot of them go to the Social Security Death Index and they pick a dead person's social security number and use their name. And they create a whole fake life using that. So it does happen. But with that case, it would be him using, or her, or whatever the scammer is, using an Amazon gift card to ship the items to you in their name. Cheryl, they will threaten you if you don't send them money. Yeah, they do. They threaten you, but keep in mind that the person threatening you is probably a 15-year-old little punk in Nigeria who can't leave his town, and his threats are empty. In all the years we've been doing this, we've never seen anybody personally harmed by a scammer's threat. It's all empty threats. It's all just to scare you. And unfortunately, people do get scared. People do get scared, and they think, "Oh my God, this man's outside my door with a gun." No, you're talking to a little kid in Nigeria who's sitting behind a laptop in a filth-ridden little, crappy place that 10 other scammers are sitting in on a dirt floor going, "I'm going to come and kill you," and the truth is they're not. They're just trying to threaten you, and a lot of times scammers will threaten you because they have nothing else to lose. Like they're not going to get money from you, or they can't get any more from you, so they're going to try and threaten you. And so if someone's doing that, just block them. Don't send money. And don't be scared. Don't go peeking out your window thinking there's a killer at your door, because there's not. It's just empty threats. Celebrity scammers. There's a lot of, we see it every day. We see Ellen, we see Oprah, we see Toby Keith, we see The Rock, we see whoever your favorite celebrity is. What they do is, as we know, they open Facebook profiles. Like, I'll give you an example. Ellen, it'll be Ellen Jr. or Ellen with 5 N's. She's giving away cash and prizes. All you have to do is type win. And so you do that, and then Ellen will message you and say, "Congratulations, you're the winner. We just need your credit card information to ship the package to you with your $10 million. And what they do is they get your credit card details, and then they use your card and drain your bank account or charge up your account. So they are pretending to be celebrities. There's also the famous, like, we'll use an example, Toby Keith on Instagram, and he'll message a fan and say, "Thank you for being a fan. I'm in love with you. I want to send you some money. I want to send you some gifts. I need your help. I lost my guitar. Can you send me some money?" Keep in mind, real celebrities like Toby Keith, like Oprah. Oprah's not giving away money needing your credit card. Neither is Ellen. And artists like Toby Keith, George Strait, the Backstreet Boys, I don't care, whoever you listen to. They're not messaging you online saying, "Thanks for being a super fan. I want to marry you." It just doesn't work that way. And a lot of these famous people have their own connections, have their own relationships in life. They're not online looking for love on Instagram or Facebook. They're not. I mean, I'm not trying to sound mean, but Justin Bieber is not on Facebook looking for, Sally Smith, who lives in Hinkle Dinkle, Arkansas, and works at the Walmart. He's not looking for you, and you're talking to a scammer every single time. So just remember that we're not special. I'm not special. You're not special. Celebrities aren't going to come looking for us. They don't want us. It's just the way it is. And it's a great thing to have that mental affair and think, "Oh God, my favorite singer wants me." But the truth is, you're talking to a scammer. And a lot of these Ellen profiles and these Oprah profiles are run by Indonesian scammers. I'd say 90% of them are scammers right out of Indonesia, and they're using your credit card. So just remember that. Maria, I have a question. Does a military soldier need their wife to sign their retirement paperwork for them to be able to get their retirement monthly payments? Since he's a widow, he needs his fiance's signature to be able to come out of the camp. No. This comes back to a soldier's personal affairs are with the military. They're not with you. A soldier doesn't need to have you sign any retirement paperwork. He can be a widow. He can be married. He can be gay. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need you or anybody's approval, paperwork, or anything. You're talking to a scammer. And another thing is, scammers will say, "Oh, honey, I'm 2 months away from retirement, but I'm in the war camp at this time, and I'm a widow, and I need you to write to my commander and help me get my retirement, and it's $50 million. Here's how it works. When you're ready to retire from the military, you retire. You've worked your contract. You've been there. You've put in your time. You retire. That is between the soldier and the chain of command. Doesn't involve you, and they get a retirement every month. It's a monthly check. They don't get $20 million after leaving the military for 20 years. They get a monthly check. Some soldiers that are retired get $10,000 a month. They were high-ranking soldiers. Some get $1,500 a month. It depends on what they did, but they never need your help. And so if you're talking to someone that's telling you this, you're talking to a scammer, and what the scammer will say, "Oh, you need to give me your personal information, and then in order for me to retire, I need you to pay for my leave, and I need you to pay for the retirement documentation." It's a scam. So please, if you're talking to someone that tells you that, just block them. Block them. Absolutely. So please, if someone's telling you that, please block them. They don't. No legit military man needs your help with anything. Anything. I mean, they don't need food. They don't need, new shoes. They don't need retirement documentation. They don't need you to pay for leave. They don't need you to write to anybody. All of that is a scammer. So I hope that you keep that in mind. And also in our notes section on our Facebook page, you can look and see there's notes actually written. We have two people, like I've said before, Anna and myself run the page, but we have two people. One is named Sapper, and another is a very nice lady that was in the Army for 4 years. She's very, very well versed and very straightforward about what she'll tell you, but she's written some of our notes about military men, and Sapper has written a very, very detailed note, and he has served his time in Afghanistan. He was a deployed soldier for many years. He has written a note about the military and how it really works. It is a straightforward note, and I'll tell you one thing about this young lady who writes for us and Sapper. Both of them are military. Both of them have been in the Army, and they are very straightforward. They're very cut and dry. This is how it is. If anyone's telling you anything different, it's a scam. So just remember that. I mean, military never need anything. And unfortunately, military profiles are probably, I would say, 70% of what scammers use, because they know women and men fall for the military. They want a military man in their life, and they scam with these profiles. So no, don't pay anything. Don't write to any commander. Just block the person. Okay. So we have one more question, and I'll get to it. Can a midlife crisis play a role in a scam? Sure. This comes down to, again, what you're going through in your life. Maybe you've hit 40 years old and you feel like you're not as young and beautiful or whatever, handsome as you were. Maybe you're 40 years old and you're going bald. Anything can affect your judgment. And if you're going through a midlife crisis, of course, you can feel vulnerable. You can feel not so beautiful. You can feel not so handsome. You can feel overweight. You think, oh, I'm not as attractive as I was when I was 20. And scammers will hone in on that, and absolutely. And if your thinking is impaired because you're going through a mental issue, then yes, you can become a victim of a scam, and you can become very vulnerable. And that's what, like I said before, scammers look for is your vulnerability. So keep that in mind. They look for you. They look for your weaknesses, no matter what it might be. So yeah, midlife crisis can definitely be an issue. So I think that's all the questions that people wrote in with. If you guys have questions in the chat, I'm happy to answer them. We're going to go on YouTube in a couple hours after work the inbox and maybe call some scammers and mess around with them as the old lady. If you guys would like to join us on YouTube, you'll get a notification when I log on, but it'll be a few hours. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. We're going to try, like I said, we do these Q&As once a month on Facebook, and then on YouTube, we've been trying once a week to do a kind of an impromptu fun night where we just call different scammers numbers and try to kind of screw with them. I'm trying to do that once a week. My situation, I'll let you guys know, I recently started a new job. I left my old job that I was at for almost 5 years. I wasn't being treated very well, so I left my job and I got a new job. And the only unfortunate part of it is it's very exhausting physically and mentally. So a lot of times I've been kind of falling behind on my videos. I know a lot of you have written in with your stories, and I do have like 6 or 7 stories I need to narrate. I'm going to try to work on some tonight, but I do apologize. Our videos have gotten a little slow just because I haven't had the free time to make videos like I used to. I'm actually just exhausted from my job, but I will try to work on more videos this week. But I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can ask them now. I'm happy to go ahead and answer them. I've answered everyone's questions that wrote in to us. And like I said, keep in mind, we'll be doing these Q&As once a month. I try to do them towards the end of every month. It's just a lot easier for me. And then a lot of people have been asking us when the old lady is going to come back and make videos. I haven't had time to chat with scammers, so I'll try tonight to get the old lady to come out and play, and we'll see if we'll get some chats. And like I said, Anne's in the inbox as well. So when you write to our inbox, you get me or her. There's no one else there, so your privacy is always guaranteed. And one thing I want to touch on really quick too, if you bring us a fake profile, we're going to post it. And we had a lady recently who brought us a fake profile and the payment details and information, and it led to the scammer's real face. I posted it. She actually reported it. And she came back to us and said, how dare you post that scammer? Well, he's a scammer. And you have to understand that a scammer is going to tell you the same thing that he tells 10 other victims. So you're not special. We've had a lot of victims come to us and say, you know, how can you post that profile because he made that profile for me? No, the scammer made it for anybody who is willing to talk to him. And I guarantee you, you're not the only lady he's talking to. So if you bring us a profile and it's fake, we're going to post it. Now, we'll never post your name. We'll never post your information or your phone number or your email, but we will post the scammer's information. So keep that in mind when you come to our inbox. Don't expect us to not post a fake profile because you might be helping somebody, you know, who's involved with that scammer not become a victim. And that's what we're about. We're about preventing victims. We're about preventing people from getting scammed. Another thing, and I wrote on this yesterday, don't come to the inbox. I seriously had a lady come to the inbox with a picture of somebody's eyeball. And she asked me if I know if this man's a scammer. And I wrote back to her, I said, I would need more information. I would need you to, you know, tell me what he said or what he did. And she got mad at me and said, how dare you not know? Well, I'm sorry, but I can't tell from somebody's eyeball if they're a scammer. So if you come to the inbox, try to bring the profile link, a photo of the profile, and what they're telling you. Because we can't always tell from a photo, and we certainly can't tell from just someone's eyeball. Please keep that in mind. I was getting really irritated last night with you guys that did that. Could you tell us how to check phone numbers? There's a couple ways. What I do personally is I have a free texting number from TextNow, and I just call the number and see what comes up. And if it says you've reached a Google subscriber, you've reached a TextNow subscriber, you know it's a fake voicemail number. A lot of times you can take the phone number, throw it through Facebook search or Google search and see what comes up. That's how we check them. But for me personally, I call the number from a free voicemail number just to see what it says, and that's the best way to do it. If you're in the United States and you want to call on your phone and check a phone number, dial *67 and then dial the number, because it'll block your number from the scammer getting it, and that's the best way to do it. Debbie, what time are you going to call scammers tonight? It's 8 o'clock. It's a little after 8 o'clock here. I would say maybe around 10 or 11. I don't have to be to work tomorrow till late, so I was going to stay up and call the scammers. And keep in mind, too, a lot of the scammers, they don't come online until midnight, 1 o'clock Pacific time, because it's morning in Africa. So that's usually when we do them. So probably I would say give me 2 hours and have some dinner, and then I'll log on. Maria, I would like to see the real person behind the picture. Can you do that? It depends. A lot of people ask us, hey, I want to see the real man behind the photo. Who am I talking to? The only way we usually find that out is if you have payment details that lead to somewhere like Nigeria, Malaysia, Ghana. And even then, with the payment details, the name and the phone number, we don't always find them. So if you have payment details where he asked for money to be sent, if you want to inbox it to us, we can take a look and see. Maybe we can find out where it came from. But we don't always find the scammer. A lot of times it's just through luck. We find it through phone numbers and through payment details. And a lot more scammers are actually taking their phone numbers off their real profiles because they know that they can be found that way. And so there's a lot of chatter in scammer groups that they're just taking their phone numbers off. So. And Brenda, yes, it was just one eyeball. The lady sent me a picture of one eyeball and asked me if I knew who the man was. So, and keep in mind, we have albums, as Ann just wrote, we have tons of albums. And you can go through them and look at the photos. And if the photos are in that album, that means they are stolen photos. They have been used by a scammer. And we also have scammer albums. If you want to see what these scammers look like, You know, we have tons of albums of actual scammers that we've caught scamming, and we've posted their photos. And keep in mind, and I can't say this enough, not all scammers are from West Africa. We're finding more and more scammers are coming from places like India, Pakistan, even Afghanistan now, and Bangladesh. So I recently did a video, stolen photos and real scammers, and someone said, "Oh my gosh, you've got all scammers from India." And I said, yes, there's more and more scammers out of India now than there ever was in Nigeria. And we've even caught a few in the United States that are doing it. And they're catching on to it. They're saying, hey, they're making money, I'm going to make money too. There's scammers all over the world, so just, you know, try to keep that in mind. Don't always assume that they're from West Africa, because they're not. And there's a lot of great people in Nigeria and Ghana as well that are very smart, very educated, very legit people. But again, this comes down to, and I want to touch on this real quick before I leave. I had a lady recently come to the inbox, and she said to me, "Oh, this man from Nigeria wants to be my friend." And she was a victim of a scam previously. And I said to her, "Well, do you know anybody in Nigeria?" And she said, "No." I said, "You were a victim of a scam?" And she says, "Yes, I sent $10,000 to Nigeria." And I said, "Well, you have to seriously question why all of a sudden a Nigerian man who you have no business connections to, no personal connections to, all of a sudden wants to be your friend." So if you're getting friend requests from, you know, a Nigerian person and you don't know them, and you're not friends with them outside of the internet, or you're, you know, it's not your sister's best friend's cousin or something, you have to question why would they send you a friend request. And a lot of times scammers will actually send you a friend request with their real profile, because they try to get in. They want to get into your life some way or another. So see that as a red flag, and don't accept friend requests. I've had victims come to me and say, "I have 5,000 friends." Why? Why do you have 5,000 friends? You don't need 5,000 friends. You know, my friends list is, you know, people that I know, and it's not huge. You know, keep it at 100, 150, and that's all you need. You know, unless you're a celebrity, you don't need 5,000 friends. So just kind of question that if you're accepting anybody and everybody. It's scary. So anyway, if you have any questions, I will answer them now. If not, I will close this Q&A for May. I appreciate you guys coming out. Ann says hi, as you know, and we're both in the inbox if you need help. I'll be on YouTube in a couple hours. Give me like 2 hours. We're on youtube.com/scamming-scammers. I'm going to set up the old lady with our favorite country lady with some friends from Tagged, and we'll see if we can call some scammers and play with them for a little while. And keep in mind that our YouTube Q&A things that we do on YouTube are just for fun. They're not informational. They're kind of just for fun. And one lady got upset with me and said, "You know, this is boring." Well, you don't have to watch it. So, you know, this Q&A on Facebook is very educational. We answer questions and we interact. The one on YouTube is fun. It's like a slumber party. We're just there to screw around with scammers and have fun. So if you'd like to join me later, I will be on there. But again, thanks everybody for coming out for the May Q&A. Hopefully in June we can have another one and just you know, get some more information out there. And I hope again to make some more videos this week. I apologize that I'm backed up with victim stories. I will get them out as soon as I can. So. But again, thanks everyone. I hope you have a good night. And if you need any help, our inbox is open. I'll be working it, and I'll be working it, so we'll be in there shortly. And if you need help, like I said, inbox is there, and our YouTube channel is there for you. So we'll see you guys next month, and hopefully I'll see you guys in a couple hours as well. And take care. Be safe. Keep the money to yourself. Don't give it to those damn scammers. I'll see you guys next month. Bye.